Alright, let's look at here. Filing status. So basically, you can see, whoa, a lot of boxes here. A lot of boxes. I'm going to check. Check. Oh, we can check. We can check. We can check. Oh my gosh, I can check all of them. But you know what? As I said multiple times, you can check, you can fill information, but that does not mean that you're correct. So basically, you know what? Unfortunately, RS only want you to check one box. Okay, so yeah, even though I really love checkbox, you can't do. You technically, you can do, right? But yeah, if you do this, it's wrong, okay? You don't want to do that. So let me quickly explain. So this one, single, come on, how easy is that? Single. So basically, as the name suggests, if you are single, you just choose one, okay? And here is some restrictions, okay? So if you are single, or if you consider single, on the last day of that tax year, okay? On the last day of that tax year, if you're single, you're single, okay? And single means that you are not married. Or if you're married, but you are legally separated, okay? Remember the word here is legally separated. It's not just that, we're separated. Yeah, you live separately, that's not legally separated, okay? You should be legally separated or divorced, okay? That is considered legal. If you're not married, legally separated, or divorced, you should choose single. Of course, this you need to check this on the last day of that tax year, okay? If that is, choose single. Really, really simple one here, okay? And you know what? Most of the tax return that I help my clients to do is this, right? Married and filing jointly, okay? This is one of the most famous and favorite options for married couple to file, okay? So sometimes I use the abbreviation here, MFJ, okay? Married and filed jointly. And you know what? There are a lot of pros and cons of like doing that separately or doing that jointly, okay? But here's the thing, if there's not very complicated or exceptional issues here, if you're married, you should do married, filed jointly. Because you know what? If you are legally married, and of course both parties need to agree to file one joint return, okay? That can save you tax most, okay? Because means that you can combine all the income together and of course the deduction together and all the credit together, okay? That can save the most of your tax they're going to pay, okay? So for example, I earn, for example, $40,000 per year. And you know what? My spouse are more, right? Earn $60,000 per year. So we total together, we combine together, okay? So that we file one return with the income, total income, because we add all this up, right? So 40 add $60,000, and then combine $100,000. We're going to file that as a total income, okay? So for example, if your spouse have no income, you know what? You can choose one. You can still choose the MFJ, married filed jointly, because there's more deductions, more credits. So yeah, you should do that. But there's a catch. There is a catch. You're still married, but you can also choose married and filed separately. So that's the here. Married filing separately. MFS. Okay? So you might ask, why do that? You just said that married and filing jointly, that can save you the most tax, right? Because you combine all the income as well as the deduction and credit together, right? You should do that. But why you do this? Remember, I just said if you're legally married and both agreed to find one joint return, there are some of the scenarios that, you know, one of the married couple say, hey, I do not agree, okay? I want to file separately. You know what? you can't find find jointly if one of them did not agree, right? And there are some of the scenarios. For example, you don't trust your spouses. Not just that you don't trust your spouse, but you don't trust your spouse's bookkeeping. Okay, so for example, we got like a really messy bookkeeping, a lot of business going on. Okay, and maybe there's something fishy. I don't know. Okay, so if you don't trust that, okay, you don't want involving that, you can just find it separately, right? You just say, hey, I want to keep my book clean, okay? And for example, your one of your spouse have some loan, right? Student loans, and want to avoid like income-based repayments issues, okay? Just some specific scenario, and of course you can say, oh, I want to like do that separately to avoid that issue. So that's when the married but fine separately makes sense. It's there for a reason. It's not that, oh, you marry should marry find jointly. You shouldn't just trust any suggestions that, for example, if you use a software that, prompts say, hey, that's most people choose this, you should do that. You should analyzing. You should, you should talk to the tax professional about your situation, and then because this is just some box that you check, okay? But just a tiny little bit of check can involve a lot of complications. Okay, it may not rise right here, right now, and technically, as I just demonstrated, you can check all of the box, but that does not mean that is the best for you. Okay, yeah. So that's the married filing jointly as well as married filing separately.